How many of y'all are going to make 2020 your best year? Show of hands. Show of hands. That's what I'm talking about. See, I see a problem with this right now. First of all, because y'all already put your hands down. That's a problem. Second of all, y'all need to have 2 hands up. 2 hands up. Boom! 2020 is going to be the year. I guarantee it. Let's make it happen. So I'm going to give you guys a rundown of how this is going to take place tonight. So right now, I'm giving y'all the intro. And then we're going to have just a 1-minute moment where if you haven't met somebody, you're going to meet that somebody. Make it a goal. Meet somebody that you haven't talked to tonight. I know there's only 12 of us. Easy task. Maybe we should knock it down to 45 seconds. Meet somebody new, okay? And then, so we're going to have that opportunity to do that. And then my man Justin, that's Justyn. Get it right. And why it's spelled that way, Will? Why, I don't know. Yeah, dad jokes. But yeah, so Justin's going to come out here. He's going to give you an incredible message. I am so grateful that I've had the opportunity to get to know this guy. He's a genius. He's brilliant. He's passed so much wisdom onto me. So if you're going to be like, oh, Jordan gave a good talk, just wait. It's going to be ridiculously incredible. So Justin's going to come out here. He's going to kill it, do his thing, and then he's going to bring me back on. And then I'm going to talk to you guys, give you guys like some real good stuff too. And then we get the opportunity to do a 5-10 minute Q&A. If you guys have any questions on your heart, at least come up with one. Come on. You guys have notepads, you guys have pens, come up with at least one question. We're going to do a Q&A. And then after that, y'all thought Christmas was over. Oh! Y'all thought Christmas was over. But guess what? We got the raffle going on. Grand prize, $150. Like, seriously? Like, I'm losing money right now. It's all good. But it's all good because I'm so excited. I'm so pumped. If you can't tell, this is my life's work right here, that I'm supposed to be doing this. And I can't wait to look back on this moment and be like, you guys want to see my first event? Like, you guys take pictures, tag me in it. Seriously, take pictures, tag me in it. Do all this stuff because this is going to be huge. Like, can you imagine, first of all, seeing Austin Harris in like 5 years, and he's just he's going to be like, yeah, I went to that event, yeah. It's going to be amazing. So once again, grateful you guys are all here. Amazing prizes coming. And the goal of tonight is not only so you guys leave like charged and energized and loving life, but the main goal that I have for you guys tonight is that you guys get to leave here, or by the end of the night, maybe take the sheet home with you that I'm going to provide you guys with. You guys are going to have your own definition of success. I came up with an actual worksheet that you guys can work through, and by the end of it, you're going to have your own definition of success. You're going to have a success statement. Like, it's powerful. I wrote mine, if I'm being real with you, for the first time just a couple days ago, and I've been saying it to myself, and I'm like, whew, it just lights you on fire, okay? And then, so yes, that's the goal. And me and Justin, we've been meeting at coffee shops once a week for about the past month. And one thing that we've been talking about is that we all possess inside of us already what is needed in order to be successful. Believe it because you do. You already have what you need inside of you in order to be successful already. It's planted inside of you. Tonight's going to be a great night. And that is the intro. So if we can cue the music and then go ahead and meet somebody that you haven't talked to. Let's do that. We're going to take a 45-second break and bring Justin on board. Thank you. We are going to bring on the man, Justyn. Bring Justin on the stage. Let's do it. Woo! Give an applause for Justin.
Right, Jordan, I'm not crying, you're crying. Oh, man, you already almost had me going. You set the bar pretty high with some of those kind statements. I appreciate that. If I live up to even half of that, I'll be very pleased and just happy to be here, guys. let's see here. So let me gather myself. Everybody got their spots. We got everybody in nice and tight. So, guys, like Jordan said, we've been gathering to talk about kind of what this is going to look like. And the idea out of this, and my message is titled, Your Greatness is in Your Gratitude, or more importantly, your success is in your gratitude. And I'll get into a little bit of that. But we're just so glad that you guys are here in pursuit of growth and change and development in your pathway of success for 2020. And I say pathway of success because last I checked, I don't think I can plug success into my Google Maps and have it spit out directions on how I'm going to get there. I don't feel like success is an actual destination that we arrive to. I say pathway of success because I feel like we've got to be on the pathway of success consistently, and Jordan touched on that a little bit. So, you guys, first and foremost, I want to thank Pastor Jim and Columbine Hills Church of the Nazarene. Can we give them a hand, guys? Give them a huge hand. Just want to thank them for being kind enough as to provide a platform to hopefully sow some seeds into your success story and into your journey and into your pathway of success, and giving us an opportunity and a platform to host an event like this. So just so grateful that we have a place to call home for tonight. And like I said, guys, with the weather and stuff, we're so glad you're here. Couldn't be more grateful that we get to hang out and do some life with you guys tonight. We're going to go crazy in just a second. Hold your applause for just a second. But this guy was brave enough to give me a microphone. Jordan Harris, guys, and we're going to go crazy for him in just a second. First, I just want to thank him for being gracious enough as to share a stage like this with me, and just trust that the broken person that I am can come in here and hopefully add some significant value into this event for you. But more importantly, how about Jordan being so committed to your growth, to your development, through everything that he does, not only through putting events on like this, through everything that he does on social media, the coach and the mentor that he is, guys. Can we go crazy for that? Are you guys ready to be supercharged at Jordan Harris's Success 2020? Give him a hand, guys. Give him a hand. Give him a hand. All right, guys. So turn your most attractive neighbor. Give him a high five. Ask him, are you ready? If you're here with your boyfriend or your girlfriend or your spouse, hopefully that's the person you just high-fived. Otherwise, you might be in a little bit of trouble. Turn to your other neighbor, punch him in the leg, ask him, are you ready to be supercharged? If you're struggling to find an attractive neighbor, I'll give you 15 seconds to get resituated, get relocated, get next to somebody that you're feeling. This is going to, like I said, got to feel the mojo, feel the flow go, and get switched around. 15 seconds. No, guys, I'm just kidding. We're in great company here tonight. So as Jordan Harris mentioned, my name is Justin Gillen, Justin with a Y. I am the owner of A Good Front Window Cleaning and Pressure Washing, a small company that I started, one of the fastest growing window cleaning and pressure washing companies out there. If you're asking yourself, what does this grungy window cleaner, this Colorado beardo, know about success, and what does it have to do with me? Good question. Hang tight. Hopefully I can shed some light onto that for you. Anytime we come to see somebody speak, an event like this, no matter the size, I think it's important, if you don't know the speaker personally, or at least know a little bit of their testimony and of their background, that you learn a little bit about their story and kind of where they were, some of the finish lines that they've crossed. So if it's okay with you, I'm just going to provide a brief snapshot into some of my journey and how I ended up in the life that I have the opportunity to live today. I don't have a ton of time up here, and I want to make good use of the time that I do have, but I do feel that's kind of important to just kind of share a little bit of my testimony with you. I believe that we are all made overcomers by the grace of God, the blood of Jesus, and the word of our testimony, and that's what I believe, and so that's what I have as my story. Before I jump into my story, I really want to highlight the importance of coming into an event like this and posturing ourselves in a position of expectancy. Expectant that we're going to hear what we're supposed to hear, expectant that we're going to feel what we're supposed to feel, and fully believing that there's power in some of these principles that you're going to be able to immediately start to implement into your story and into your journey and into your life for the good. We're probably going to deliver some stuff from the stage up here and talk about some stuff that you've probably heard before in the 1,047 motivational Facebook posts that you read on a daily basis. Hopefully we're able to touch on some concepts and some stuff that you haven't heard before. But the fact of the matter is, it doesn't matter what we say or what's delivered from this stage if it falls on blind eyes, deaf ears, and a hard heart. So if we can come in here with intentionality of having eyes that see and ears that hear and a receptive, soft heart, and being super committed with intentionality to walking out of these doors a little bit better than we came in. Can we do that? Sound good? All right. So I'm a local guy, grew up a local guy in the Denver area. I grew up in a low-income housing project, if you will. And guys, before I jump into this, let me highlight the fact that my story is not meant for a pity party or a poor me type of situation, and it's not meant also for comparison or anything like that. We could pass this mic all around this room, and everybody would have a testimony, and everybody would have a story, and everybody would have some stuff that they'd overcome in their life. So it's not meant for comparison or whatever it is. And if you didn't have a tough upbringing or a tough life, don't you for 1 minute apologize for the blessings God's put in your life, because those are yours. As long as you share them, don't you apologize for not going through that. And I know stories that are deeper and darker than I can ever imagine. So it doesn't really matter if you grew up under a bridge in downtown Denver or if you grew up in Ken Carl Valley. We've all been overcomers, and we've all had some stuff that we've come through. And I believe that's where our success is drawn from. So like I said, just don't let that be a comparison. So back to the story. I grew up low-income housing, super, super poor. Like you guys know, like ramen noodles and Totino's pizza type poor. Like if you had frozen green beans and frozen corn, it was fine dining that night. You know what I mean? That kind of poor, like not real slip and slides, like trash bags you tape together and spray the hose on there and get going. Yeah, we always wanted that real slip and slide, but we didn't always get it. I had a mom and dad, both loved me very, very much. However, they were separated from, before I can remember. My dad lived out of state, and I was raised primarily by my mom. I had two saving graces in my life. One of those was sports and athletics that kind of helped keep me out of a little bit of trouble. And my grandparents that were just two angels in my life, and without them, I really have no idea where I would have ended up or how I would have got there. But I grew up in a neighborhood. It was a rough neighborhood. It was a really rough neighborhood. It was not uncommon to have the SWAT team coming in and the helicopters overhead and the police and the dogs and the whole 9 yards. That was just a way of life for me, and that's just what I knew as normal. I didn't really have much of a fatherly figure in my life. From age 7 to 11, I lived next door to a guy named Ted. Ted had the lowrider out front, and he was not only the local cocaine dealer, but was a pretty big-time cocaine dealer in the state. And he's in prison now, back for the second time. He escaped once. Different story for a different day. But Ted was my biggest role model from age about 7 to 11. I spent a lot of time in Ted's house as they were bagging up their cocaine and the guns were out and just all the things that come with that lifestyle. But again, that's just kind of what I knew to be normal. And that was kind of my fatherly figure from age 7 to 11. He let me drive his lowrider once. But like I said, it was a rough neighborhood. And those same criminals and drug dealers and gangbangers, it wasn't uncommon to have them associating with me and my house and my mom. And sleeping on my couch and sleeping in my bunk bed. It was just kind of what I knew, and those were the people that my mom just hung out with for whatever reason. And I truly believe my mom did the best she could with where she was at that time in her life, but it was not an ideal place for a child to be raised, to say the least. I fought daily. It was just part of life. We just, that's what happened. Whether it was on the way home from school or in the neighborhood, we fought a lot. I got in a lot of trouble through some of that stuff as well. But like I said, it was just a constant kind of ongoing situation with the drugs and the guns and the gang members and all those things. And luckily, I was able to stay out of most of that with athletics. I witnessed a lot of physical abuse as a child. Mostly my mom being the brunt of that. She had different boyfriends that were in and out, and on multiple occasions, I had to see her get pummeled in the kitchen by whatever boyfriend it was at that time. There was a moment I can recall when I was about 11 years old where her boyfriend ran her over in front of the house, breaking both of her legs. And, of course, the ambulance and the fire trucks and all those things. And if you can imagine, in my later years, I don't have any post-traumatic stress disorder. Well, I have things that I still need to be responsibly dealing with today that affected me very much as a child. About 6 months after that, the police were looking for my mom for whatever reason it was on this occasion, and I was in the car, and they pulled her out and pretty much held guns at her head at gunpoint. And I remember pleading, don't shoot my mom, don't shoot my mom. They didn't, thank goodness, but again, just another traumatizing event. And the reason I tell you this is because this led me up to just about a week after this event, I discovered alcohol at the age of 12, and good old OE or whatever it was we were drinking, and I drank alcohol for the first time. And when I put that alcohol in my body, there was no turning back. It just completely blew me away, because for the first time, I didn't have to think about my fear and my anxiety and my stress disorders and all the things that I had experienced as a childhood. I was able just to block that out when I put alcohol into my body. And it was just the greatest thing I'd ever experienced because it was the first time I felt free. And so a couple weeks after that, I drank again, and I was highly intoxicated the first time. The second time I drank again, and I was woken up on my bathroom floor by a prominent gang member named Paul, who had just gotten out of prison from South Central L.A. I don't know how he ended up living at our house, but that was who rolled me over when I was choking on my own puke at the age of 12 in my bathroom, turning blue. And you would think that even at 12, you would think, gosh, maybe this isn't for me. Maybe this is something that is dangerous and that I shouldn't be doing, but no way. You know, that was my drug. That's what still, like I said, just put me on top of the world because I didn't have to experience all the things that were running through my mind on a regular basis. Fast forward a little bit, like I said, I mentioned the athletics. I was a successful football player, baseball player, basketball player in high school. Alcohol is still a very big part of all of that. But I had some opportunities to go play college football. That was my main sport. And, I don't know what the reason was, probably because of my troubled past and my home life. And I said, no way, I'm not going to go to college and play football. I'm going to go be a professional snowboarder. And everybody said, you are out of your mind. And yes, I probably was. But I pursued that. And I went on, and when I moved up to Breckenridge a year later, I signed my first professional snowboarding deal with my first sponsor. And I was officially a professional snowboarder a year after that. That's success, right? But alcohol was a big part of that. That took my life to California, where I lived in Lake Tahoe in Mammoth, California, and eventually met my wife out there. But the partying lifestyle and the alcohol and all that was much more important to me than achieving my dream in snowboarding. So I couldn't stay afloat in the snowboard industry. I couldn't show up to competitions. I couldn't show up to photo shoots because the partying was just way more important to me, and it meant way more to me at that time. So I couldn't stay afloat. My wife and I had my son. And my wife, guys, is an absolute rock, an absolute foundation. And she's been with me through thick and thin and through the worst times in my life. And she's here for the greatest times of them, but an absolute rock. And I can never thank her enough for that. But we had my son out there from Lake Tahoe. We moved back here, and I came back and got a real job, as my mom would say now. And I went into the mortgage industry. And I was a pretty successful mortgage broker for a short period of time before kind of the collapse in 2009. But the same thing, it wasn't really the collapse. It was still more my alcoholism. If I'm being honest, it wasn't the market. It wasn't the things of why I couldn't get the work done that I needed to get done. It was still the booze. I still couldn't put down the bottle. So I ended up back in restaurants, just kind of working in restaurants, trying to make it happen. I couldn't hold a steady job. I just couldn't survive, and I was just spiraling down into a deeper, dark place, and I thought I was already in a dark place, and it got worse, and it got worse, and it got worse, and I eventually found myself the man, the husband, the father, the son, the brother, the friend that I never, ever imagined myself being and that I never, ever wanted to be. I was hurting everybody around me intentionally, basically, because of addiction to alcohol. And I found myself in that deep, dark hole, and there was no way out. There was no possible way out. I was in such a bad spot, I was fearful to walk out on my balcony for fear I might leap. And I was somebody that was always outspoken against suicide, but I somehow found myself in a situation where I just wanted it to end. And if that balcony was a little bit higher, who knows? Because I was just scared it wasn't high enough. But when I was in that deep, dark hole, and it was just an impossible situation. There was no way. I'd been praying to God and praying to God and praying to God, God, please help me. And for whatever reason it was, when I was in that deep, dark hole, God put his hand down in there and said, come on out, lay down your burden, come on out of that hole. And thank goodness my God specializes in impossible situations, because that's what he did. He started to lift me out of that hole through him, through people he put in my life, mentors, coaches, and the people that are still a huge part of my life today. I came out of that, and I've been sober ever since. And that's success for me right there. I could stop and put the mic down and be done right now, and that's success for me, and that's what it means for me, but that's not the end of the story. So I went back in. I said, hey, I want to run one of these restaurants. So I got a general manager job. Felt like, okay, I'm a general manager. I got a team now. I'm successful, right? I'm here. And that lasted for a little bit, and then I thought, no, man, I still don't have purpose. I don't think this is success. So I just need a bigger general manager job. I need a team of 70 people is what I need, and then I'll be successful. So went out, got a job running a huge restaurant team of 70, and I'm like, okay, I've arrived, right? I'm here. I'm successful. I've done it. Awesome. God is so good, right? Thank you. And again, I just didn't feel purposefully yet. And we'll talk a lot about what your purpose is and what your calling is. And I still am, struggling with my own calling. But then I thought, okay, district manager job. I'm going to go be a district manager. That's going to be awesome. I'm going to run multiple restaurants. And I went through in-depth interview processes and all those and was able to land a district manager job running 8 restaurants. And this all happened in a very short period of time in sobriety and with God helping me along the way. And now I'm like, okay, cool. I'm a district manager running 8 restaurants. This is amazing. I'm on top of the world. And that didn't last too long. And I called my wife and I said, I'm putting in my 2 weeks and I'm never going to work for anybody else again. Can you imagine? She's like, from where you've come from to where you are, you're walking? Really? Okay, I support you. What are you going to do? I'm going to open a window cleaning business. You said, what? Say that, come again? I'm going to open a window cleaning business. Okay, I support you. Let's do it. And so we opened up that window cleaning business, and it's been profitable and going really well. And as of right now, I have more fulfillment because I'm just doing my own thing. Now, I'm not saying success is owning your own business. I'm not saying success, whatever you're called to do, whether you're an employee, a worker, a manager, it doesn't matter. That's just some of my story. So where am I at here? Okay, so after that, guys, so the point I'm trying to get to, and a lot of that with some of, obviously, the alcohol and things like that, I would argue that self-will is not the purest form of motivation. And how many of you guys out there, like, I'm strong. I got it. I can do it, right? I have self-will. I can get through this. I can do it. I would argue self-will is insufficient. Because when I was in that deep, dark hole, Lord knows I did everything in my might to pull myself out of it, and I simply didn't have what it takes. But the minute that I decided, I can't do this, I'm raising the white flag, I don't have what it takes, I need help from other people and forces higher than myself, I started to receive supernatural favor on my life. So I would argue that self-will is not the purest form of motivation. By show of hands real quick, guys, how many of y'all made New Year's resolutions? Put your hands up if you made New Year's resolutions this year, okay? Leave your hands up if they're still intact. Be honest now. We're in a church. Be honest. All right. The reason I ask that, not to shame you or anything like that, is that the numbers are there. 80% of us won't make it through January on our New Year's resolutions. Why is that? Is that because we're weak? Because we don't have what it takes? We're not strong people? I don't think so. I just think that self-motivation and self-will is not the purest form of that. Think and Grow Rich by Bob Proctor is an amazing book. I don't know if you've read it or heard of it. I'm sure you have. It's actually on Jordan's list that he's going to hand out afterwards. An amazing book, but he basically makes it his life work to study some of the most successful people the United States has ever seen and see what they have in common. What is it they all have in common? And that's what he bases this book around. And it's an amazing read. And there's 13 main principles in this book that he comes up with that they all have in common. But I'm going to tell you the first 2. Number 1 is desire, and number 2 is faith. Desire is number 1, and number 2 is faith, and I think we could stop right there. And, it's not coincidental that all these successful people had this thing called faith and that we're able to rely on something greater than themselves. And when we're able to do that and let something greater than ourselves, be it God, for me it's God and my Lord and Savior is Jesus Christ, and that's just the way that I roll. But finding something that's greater than yourself is key in life to drive and direct that bus for you. And like I said, get some of that supernatural favor that we've all been seeking. It's been said, a lot of people say we have a God-sized hole. And I agree with that because I've tried to fill my hole with everything else, and the only thing that seems to fill it is God. I got a Teddy. Have you guys heard of Teddy Roosevelt? I hope so. I was terrible in history, but I have heard of him. So if you haven't, we need to start checking this educational system. This is a quote from Teddy Roosevelt. You've probably seen it bouncing around social media, but I just love it. I posted it actually on the walls of some of my restaurants when I was in that business. But it says, "It is not the critic who counts, not the man who points out how the strong man stumbles or where the doer of deeds could have done them better. The credit belongs to the man who is actually in the arena, whose face is marred by dust and sweat and blood, who strives valiantly, who errs, who comes short again and again, because there is no effort without error and shortcoming, but who does actually strive to do the deeds, who knows great enthusiasms, the great devotions, who spends himself in a worthy cause, who at best knows in the end the triumph of high achievement, and who at worst, if he fails, at least fails while daring greatly, so that his place shall never be with those cold and timid souls who neither know victory nor defeat." I heard that quote, I'm like, man, that guy's an all-star. That's a G right there. Teddy Roosevelt, if you guys don't know, first president to ever ride in a submarine, first president to own an automobile, first president to have a telephone in his house, first president. He also won the Nobel Peace Prize and the Medal of Honor. I don't know what you guys have done lately, but that's quite the resume, right? That's quite the resume. This guy was a G. He has a famous quote that he wrote in his journal on February 14th, 1884, and it says, "The light has gone out of my life." And he wrote that quote because his wife and his mother in the same house died on the same day, Valentine's Day, from two completely separated illnesses. The light has gone out of my life. As you can imagine, that'd probably be pretty difficult. Teddy Roosevelt took off to northern Dakota to become a cattle rancher and a cattle farmer. But that wouldn't be the end of his story, obviously. Years later, he would develop this group. He had this vision of this ragtag group of tough guys, these soldiers, called the Rough Riders. And if you're thinking, yeah, DMX was in that crew. No, not those Rough Riders, different Rough Riders. But he would form this group called the Rough Riders. And what's so cool is that pain in that prison that he was in that took him to North Dakota, that's where he met these cowboys and these Indians and some of his buddies from Harvard that joined together to form this group of warriors. And they got involved in the Spanish-American War, and they were in Cuba getting ready to take San Juan Hill. And they had prepared for this, they were ready for it. And Teddy Roosevelt later wrote in his diary that they came to the battlefield and they were separated by a barbed wire fence. And they had to cross this barbed wire fence to go into battle, and there's bullets flying by. And Teddy Roosevelt's one of the BA-est dudes that I know out there, said that he wanted nothing more than to turn and retreat and go back to the safety and the comfort of his home. And I don't know how many of you have a barbed wire fence for what you're being called to and where you're being called to go and wanting to go, no, but it's more comfortable back here, right? I'm being called here, but it's more comfortable where I'm at. That barbed wire fence is scary. I don't want to cross that, right? But because Teddy already possessed what's been placed inside of him from his trials, from his tribulations, from his pain behind him, he already had placed inside him what he needed to do to cross that barbed wire fence. And he crossed that barbed wire fence, and he later wrote in his journal, he felt the spirit of a howling wolf rise up inside his heart. A howling wolf inside his heart. I don't know if I'm corny or what, but I think that is awesome. If you read my journal, I went to spin class and drank a smoothie. That's what he wrote in his journal, right? And so he crossed that barbed wire fence and led his men up that hill to take San Juan Hill. His men would report they'd never seen anything like it, never seen a warrior lead fearlessly like he led that team up San Juan Hill that day. So with that, guys, what's your fence? What's your fence? We all have a fence. We all have a barbed wire fence that we stand in. But more importantly, what's your February 14th, 18... Checo, there it is. Your February 14th, 1884. What's that for you? Because I believe so wholeheartedly that what we do is we stand here and we think, okay, I want to be successful. Okay, I want to be successful, and we all have our own definition of success, and we should. But we think, once I get there, once I got the money, man, I'm going to be successful, right? Or once I have the husband or the wife, I'm going to be successful. I'll have arrived, right? Or no, as soon as I got the house, it's the house, then I'm going to feel successful. Or no, it's the vacations, and then I'll get there. And we put these things in our heads, and like I said, social media, we see it all. And gosh, that person's successful. Look at the house. Look at the money. As soon as I get the title, I'll have arrived, right? But we often forget what it takes to make this track in between here. We don't think about the fear that drives us back, the anxiety that drives us back, all the things that we talk to ourselves. We don't have what it takes, all these lies that we tell ourselves on a daily basis. And we want to talk so much about this your own definition of success, because when we're trying to meet the standard bar of, the social things that we see in life, the problem is we get there, we get the house, and then it's just something else. We just want something else. And then we don't feel full. We don't feel joy. We don't feel happiness. We don't feel peace because it's just something new. Now it's a bigger house. Now it's a more expensive car. Now it's more money. Now it's a bigger title, right? So it's more about what we have in us. There was this study that they did, and they did it across all income brackets. And 20 to 40,000, 40 to 80, 80 to 120, 120 to 500, 500. And across the board, there was an amazing percentage, a higher percentage across the board. They said, how much money would you need to make to feel comfortable and successful? And the answer across the board was they all said double. Double the amount of money. Guys making $5 million a year, I need double. Guys making $20 million a year, I need double. Okay? So what does that tell you? That tells me that we have an issue with being grateful for what God has already given us, being grateful for where we stand today. We have a major issue with gratitude, and then therefore without the gratitude, we will never feel successful. So I have a couple of, I think I'm running out of time already, and I want to get through these pretty quickly. But I have 5 points that I kind of want to ram home, and kind of some of the stuff that we've talked about and been able to push together into 5 points. Number one is going to be, what is number one? I should have written that down. That'd be important. Number one, get it wrong right. Okay, get it wrong right. So many of us, we have our failures, and we have the things that we do, and we end up beating ourselves up, and we end up just not making failures correct. Michael Jordan has a million awesome quotes on all the game-winning shots that he missed and all the things that he wasn't able to do, but yet we recognize him for all the things that he did do, right? So getting it wrong right, guys, we've got to fail the right way. We've got to fail successfully, and we've got to fail, more important, healthily. Because when we get it wrong and we beat ourselves out over it, it just keeps us back in that fear, back in that hole, back on this side of the barbed wire fence. So we've got to get it wrong the right way, which we recognize it, we recognize the mistake, we admit it, we learn from it, and we put it behind us with the rest of the arsenal that's going to drive us forward, right? So get it wrong right. The next one is use your words. Okay, use your words. And the topic of use your words, not like I tell my 15-year-old, come on, bud, you're 15, you can use your words now, is we have the power of life and death in our tongue. The power of life and death. And we have the opportunity to speak life over those in our life, or we have the opportunity to speak negativity over those in our life. So it is so important that when we use our words, we are speaking life and growth and speaking joy and happiness to those around us, and using our words for good and not for negative, because there's a lot of negativity in this world, and I don't have to tell you that. Okay, so we use our words in a positive way to build others up. We don't put people down. We use our words to build people up, and you'll be so surprised of who you start to surround yourself with when you start to do that on a regular basis. Part 2 of use your words, guys, is get yourself a clique. Okay, get yourself a group of like-minded people. Chances are, if you showed up to this event, you hopefully have a group of like-minded people that are in the situation you're in and that are going the same place that you're going. But, when we get on a bus, we got to make sure we know who's driving the bus, preferably a person that's more powerful than we are and greater than we are, but we know who we're on that bus with. And that's just so important, because when we get in bad days and we get in situations and we get in times where we're just not feeling it and we're in a really bad spot, our words could literally save our life. And if we have those people that we're able to reach out to and just say, listen, I'm having a hard day. I don't know what to do. I'm having these thoughts of suicide, or I'm having these thoughts of this or that, could literally save your life. And also by reaching out to one of those people in your crew, you could save their life too, because you don't know what they're going through. And so that's some of the most powerful communion that we can possibly ever have, is letting somebody know our struggles and letting somebody know what we're going through and letting somebody know what our pain is and using our words and sharing that. Okay. Next one is going to be hold the high ground. Okay, hold the high ground. When I say hold the high ground, much like Teddy Roosevelt and those Rough Riders, they were storming the top of San Juan Hill. The reason they wanted to get to San Juan Hill is because anytime you're in a battle, it's key to hold the high ground, right? Look across it, it's always key to hold the high ground. When you hold the high ground, you have a better opportunity to control the low ground. So much like the Rough Riders, as they were trying to get the high ground, where's the high ground for us? It's up here, right? This is our battle. 9 times out of 10, I do believe there's an enemy out there that tries to keep you from the callings that God has in your life, but I also believe that we can be our own biggest enemy and our own worst enemy on occasion. So it's just so important that we control our thought life, guys. The thought life that we have thoughts that come into our head, and there's a train going here, and that train is pity and negativity and self-loathing and all these negative emotions, or we have a train that goes to joy and happiness and calling on our life. And that's why they call it a train of thought, right? Because we can get on either one of those trains. But the key is to discipline our thoughts. When we have that train of thought of self-pity or negativity, or, well, this happened to me when I was a kid, or this happened to me and I just don't think I can do that, we discipline that thought and we hold it accountable to what we already know to be true behind us in our life. We discipline and we say, nope, you get out of here. You get out of here. When we discipline our thoughts like that, those thoughts, and we all get them. We're going to have fear when we're in that transition of, I can't do this, I don't have what it takes, this is too hard, this is too scary. But the problem is, and then for me especially, we start going into self-pity, but this happened and that happened, and this is why I can't do that. And I just got to remember, I can never be a victim and a victor at the same time. I can never be a victim and a victor at the same time. So if I want to be a victor, I've got to discipline those thoughts, hold them accountable, and get them out of my head and say, you don't have a place here. That's a lie, and I don't believe that. I know what the truth and the calling on my life is. Part 5, guys, and I'm getting here to wrap this up, is suit up, show up, and stay in the fight. Suit up, show up, and stay in the fight. The suit up and show up part of that, much like the greatest Hollywood actors that we see that win all the awards, what they have this knack for doing is for placing themselves into that role of that character that they're going to play to be of maximum effectiveness when they play that role. And we can do that in our calling, right? We can do that in our lives. God's called you to something. You feel something on your heart, but you don't know how to do that. You don't know how to look like that. You don't know how to work like that. To place ourselves in that role and necessarily just fake it till you make it. Because guess what? If you consistently place yourself in that role and consistently place yourself there, you will start to become that person, right? You will start to become that person. The second part of that is stay in the fight comes from me. I love MMA. MMA, right? Who's got any MMA lovers out there? All right, guys. Stay in the fight. And I think about it like this. There's 2 guys in that cage that are trying to choke each other out, beat each other down, end each other's lives, basically. They are going at it tooth and nail to see who's going to walk out of that cage a victor, right? And often these guys are great friends. We see them afterwards hugging, kissing each other. They're great friends. But what will happen often with the enemy or with whatever you're battling is all you got to do is quit. All you got to do is tap out. You tap out and the fight's over. And that's how often the enemy works in the callings in our lives. Like, hey, you're trying to go here. God's calling you to this. I'm going to stand in your way. You tap out. Cool. I'll leave you alone. I'll leave you alone, right? How often does that happen in our lives when we're being called to something and all we have to do is tap out? So don't tap out. Stay in the fight. Stay in the fight one day at a time. And if you suit up and show up and try to assume that role each and every day and choose to stay in the fight, you'll get there. You will get there. Keep putting one foot in front of the other. I told you earlier the message is titled, Our Greatness is in Our Gratitude. Above all things, I've seen some pretty successful people and know some pretty, what I would consider successful people on both ends of the spectrum. Some that are extremely, extremely grateful for where they're at, and some that are that next bar type person, what's next? And I would argue that the money, the houses, doesn't really dictate success, because I see people that are miserable and don't get to live life with their family in joy and happiness and freedom and peace, and they have it all materialistically. And guys, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with more money, a bigger house, a better car, a better title. There is nothing wrong with that. What I'm saying is your priorities need to be in order, because if you prioritize things correctly in the correct order, you will get all those things and more, and you will have it. It won't have you. Okay? So it is so important, and what drives that, the biggest measuring bar that we can have of success is our gratitude. Quite simply, are we thankful for where we are today? Are we thankful for our February 14th? Are we thankful for what's behind us and what now gives us the courage to cross over that barbed wire fence into our calling and where we're at, so we can be confident that we've been called from where we've been through, called to where we are, and like a search party, when you're lost in the woods and you're in the obscurity and you're in the fear and you don't know what to do, you will be called out by a search party to where you're going. But we have that. Everything is placed inside of us simply because of gratitude. When we choose gratitude and we're in fear, or we're unhappy, or things aren't going our way, and we can make the conscious decision, the choice to say, no, today I don't care what's happening. I'm grateful for where I'm at, and I'm grateful for what's happening, and I'm grateful for where I've been, and I'm grateful for my pain, and I'm grateful for everything that I have. We start to subconsciously rewire our brain, knowing that we have everything placed inside of us and that we are now just built differently when we have gratitude. Gratitude has this reciprocation process that works. Gratitude will reciprocate, in turn giving you more to be grateful for every time you choose to be grateful. Every single time. It's the way the universe works. Okay, so guys, in conclusion, and I say in conclusion because by this time I've probably lost about 50% of you, and they say when you say in conclusion, 80% of you re-engage. So that's just why I throw that out there. In conclusion, guys, I just hope that, you leave here and took something out of it. Just something. And just whether it's one little piece or whatever it is. Most importantly, I hope you go home tonight, and I hope you stick your slippers or whatever it is you put on your feet in the morning and stick them way underneath your bed, so that when you get up in the morning, you got to get down on your knees to get them. And while you're down there, say thank you. Say thank you for grace. Thank you for peace. Thank you for pain. Thank you for gratitude. And notice we're not saying thank you to ourselves, right? Saying thank you to something greater than ourselves, bigger than us. So with that, guys, the last thing I have is, what's your legacy? What would be your legacy? There's a thing out there that Jordan put, what do you want to do before you die? I would argue, how do you want to be remembered? How do you want your kids, your family, your friends, what do you want them to say about you? Do you want them to say, gosh, they had a lot of money? When you breathe your last breath and you're laying on your deathbed and people come together to celebrate your life, oh, that was a really big house they had. Is that what you want? I wouldn't think so. I bet we could pass this microphone around, and if we all thought about it, that wouldn't have anything to do with what we truly want. We want to be remembered for how we made those around us feel and for what we did for other people and the effect that we had on this planet and what we did to move this planet and this nation and everything in a forward manner. So yes, the money, the cars, the houses, those things will come. But how do you want to be remembered? What's your legacy? When God created you, what did he have in mind for the world? That's where I'll end, guys. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Justin, that was incredible. If we could please give him one more round of applause, that would be great. You're awesome, my man. You're awesome, my man. So, what is success? What is being successful? Well, I'll tell you what my conception of success is. And that is that success is a personal, opinion-based, emotional state of being. Jordan, what does that mean? Success is an opinion-based, emotional state of being. I still don't get it. Basically, success is whatever you decide it is. Success is whatever you make it, okay? So, success is whatever you want it to be. So my goal tonight, like I said previously, is I am going to help you create your own definition of success. How? Okay? I am not using any definitions from the dictionary tonight. This is Jordan Harris coming at you live. All right? So here's another version of success that I have for you, and that is success is being clear on what you value the most and being able to rank that in order on a list. Success is being clear on what you value the most and being able to rank that in order on a list. So, I'm going to give you guys my own. These are sheets that I'm going to be giving with you guys. I should have put it up there, but anyways, here's what it says. It says, create your own definition of success. What do you value the most in life? Write your top 5 in order in the space below. So I'm ranking these on 1 to 5, and I'll share that with you now. So first, how I come up with my own definition for success and how you can do the same, I put God. And the reason I put God is because God is like, the best way I could describe it to anybody is it's like you take a dollar bill, like a visual, you put it in a machine and $100 spits out, okay? God amplifies everything. And for me personally, in my relationships, when I put my relationships through God, I come out so much more loving, I come out so much more happier, I'm able to just spill and pour every goodness on everybody in my life. It's incredible. And then specifically, like Justin was talking about, I'm an alcoholic. So I tried everything in the books, everything that you can possibly imagine in order to quit on my own, and I was unable to do so with my own power, right? So I take my own power and I put it through that incredible machine, God, and he gave me the power that I needed in order to overcome being able to drink, I quit drinking, thank God, and it was because God. So God has just puts a beautiful blanket, warm incredibleness over everything that you can imagine. And remember, this is your own definition of success. This is mine. I'm just giving you an example so you can use this sheet that I've created and create your own. You don't have to do it in this order. You don't have to believe what I'm saying right now, but this is how I see it. So I put it through God. Okay, and then what's the next thing, Jordan? The next thing is self. Oh, Jordan, what the heck? Why would you put self second? What's wrong with you, dude? Seriously? You're putting yourself on the number 2 right after God? Well, the reason why that is because putting yourself right after that is actually the most selfless thing that you can do. Putting yourself second on that list is the most selfless thing you can do. And I say that because, if you're not taking care of yourself, how are you supposed to be able to take care of other people? And I have a couple of stories with that, a couple of examples. You guys ever, of course, have been on a plane and you're traveling and, The flight attendants are explaining everything. Nobody ever listens, but here's what the deal is. Okay, so when a plane is going to crash, oxygen masks come down in front of your face. And if you don't put they instruct you to put yours on first. Why? The reason they instruct you to put yours on first, because let's say you don't. You're trying to take care of somebody else. You're trying to help them put their oxygen mask. You're trying to put your oxygen mask on your child, but how can you if you can't breathe? How are you supposed to help somebody else if you don't even take care of yourself? So you got to put your oxygen mask on first, and then you're able to help everybody else. You're able to help everybody else so much more. So you got to take care of yourself. You got to thrive in order to be able to help others. You can't give away what you do not have. Am I right? So the next thing, another story to kind of relate into that topic of self, is God is having a conversation with a man, and he says, I have one instruction for you, and that is to build a better world. And the guy's like, what? What are you talking about? Like, how am I supposed to be able to do that? The world is so large. The world is so vast. How am I going to make any kind of difference? And God, in all of his wisdom, simply says, yeah, just build a better you. And that struck a tone with me when I heard that for the first time. It's like, whoa, like the significance of just building a better you. You don't realize that living your best life, being the best individual, taking care of yourself has such an incredible ripple. You take care of yourself, and then in turn, your family's life is better. And then your family's life is better, and then they're, being happy at their jobs, and then those customers are happy, and it's a ripple effect. By bettering yourself, you are bettering the world, hands down. What comes after that? God, and then self, and then it's daughter, spouse, family, family. And what's cool is when you're following it in this order, I can't stress enough how important it is to prioritize and have it on a list and have it in order, is when I go through God first, and then I take care of myself. Like, just the amount of, incredibleness that you are able to provide to those people, the energy, the love, the happiness that you're able to provide to those people is amplified. And then what comes after that is service. Number 4, service. And this is my list. Once again, you can create your own. But yeah, service. So I get to take the 3 pillars. And I get to share that with all of you. And it's exciting. And I know the darkness. I've been in the dark depths. I've been in, the mud. I've been in the absolute, despair, and I freaking hate myself. And then I've come out to the other side, and I've seen how beautiful and incredible and how joyous and sweet that life truly is, right? So now I get to, say, okay, this is how I feel. I'm going to help you feel the way I feel. So I get to give that back. It's so cool, because I get to show people, yeah, dude, I've been in the dark. I've been in the absolute, whoop. I was going to say a bad word. I'm in church. So, yeah. So anyways, please. All right. So service. Okay. So the next thing that I'm going to touch base on, well, actually, I'm going to still stay on that service category, because what's cool is you get the opportunity, when you figure out this list, and then I get to help you figure out this list, and I give service and I give back, and you prioritize this, you got to figure out what you got to say yes to in life, and you got to figure out what you got to say no to in life, and that's huge. That's huge, because if it doesn't fall on this list, then say no. Sometimes we get caught up in the disease of saying yes to everything, and we're just hindering our ability to succeed. So next is money, and I believe too many people have this too high on their list. Money. And I have that 5th. And yes, it is important. It is in my top 5. But it is at the very bottom of that list. And I believe that too many people have this too high on their priority. And I'm not going to discount the fact that money is absolutely essential and incredible. And we absolutely need it in order to survive, right? But it fell to the bottom of my list. And what's cool about this list is it could transform as you transform. When I was 17 years old and I had my daughter, you bet money was the number 1 thing on that list at that time, with that mindset, with that mentality. That was the first thing. I thought that I had to have money in order to be able to provide for my family. So it was all about money. Success was 100% money for me at that point in time. But, the truth is the other four provide so much more happiness, fulfillment, success than money can ever provide. But yes, money is incredibly important. So I'm going to tell you guys a story. I had my daughter when I was 17 years old, and immediately I was like, I got to get a job. So I got a job. I took whatever job I got. The first job I got was Sonic Drive-In, and I started working there, and I'm busting my rear end really hard in that job. And within 6 months, I started out as a car hop, which is the entry-level position, and then skipped the shift leader position. I went straight from car hop to assistant manager. They're like, this guy's the real deal. He's putting in the work. Why? My mindset was on the money. Money on my mind. Money on my mind. All right, so I'm putting in the work. I got a family to take care of. This is what I'm going to do. I'm going to take care of business. I got promoted to assistant manager, and then from that point on, I ended up becoming the first assistant manager a few years down the road. And my income at that point was about $55,000 a year. And then I got sober and everything, I found God in I had shifts on this sheet, right? I realized money wasn't the number one thing anymore. I started reanalyzing my life, reprioritizing my life, and I got my stuff together, and I ended up getting promoted to the general manager of a Sonic Drive-In, where I doubled my income. So I was making 50 to 55. I broke into the six-figure barrier, and everybody's like, Jordan Harris, you're so successful. They're like, hey, you got the house, man. You're 24 years old. You got the house. You got the car. It's paid off. Like, dude, you've hit it. You're successful. Like, man, you've arrived. Dude, you've got it. And for a while, I felt that way, That was it. I hit that point, like, on my initial priority list. I was like, I made the money. Yeah, I got the money. Cool. All right? And then I realized at that job, I had to ask myself this question. It is not, what are you getting, but what are you becoming? Not what are you getting, but what are you becoming? So I asked myself that question. Okay, yeah, I'm getting this. Cool. That's fantastic. I touched base on that. But what am I becoming? Okay, well, this job is stripping away so much from me. And I'll tell you that right now. So I had to leave my family on Easter. I had to cancel countless, like a dinner date or an important appointment. I couldn't come to church sometimes. People, especially my beautiful, incredible daughter, are saying, Daddy, you're always on your phone. I'm running a restaurant that is open 20 hours a day. I don't care how damn good you are. It is impossible that you're not going to get contacted, and I couldn't escape from that job. It was open 7 days a week. So 140 hours a week, there's a chance that I'm going to get interrupted in my time with God. There's a chance that I'm going to get interrupted in my meditation, in my time with myself. There's a chance, 100% chance, it happened all the time. Daddy, why are you on your phone? That I'm going to miss out on time with my family. So it was in that moment, not, what am I getting? I said, what am I becoming, man? I'm becoming a person who's always on his phone. I'm becoming a person who's leaving his family on Easter? No thanks. No thanks. I realized that this job was costing me too much. So I realized at this moment, success isn't about the money. And it was crazy because I'm starting to trickle around and tell some people, I'm going to quit my job. And, some people are supportive and that's great. And please be one of those people. But, some people are also like, dude, what the heck? You're successful. You're successful. Why would you quit your job? And I'll tell you why, because my priorities changed. And let's see. So I'm so grateful, that I had this transition from being a general manager at Sonic to be able to say, you know what, I'm going to take a leap of faith. I'm going to find the resources, and I'm going to make this happen, and I'm making it happen. I'm building my business. I'm so grateful to tell you guys that I, Jordan Harris, am a personal development coach. Up and coming, baby. Up and coming. And I can help you. I can help you. I can help you become a healthier individual. Why? Because I've done it. Over the past 3 years, I've listened to over 1,500 hours of personal development audio. I've read countless books. I actually have a list that I've read that I'm going to give to you guys. It's not every book I've read, but like the top 10 that I'm going to provide for you guys to be able to change your life. And some of those books are in the raffle, so heck yeah, that's what I'm talking about, man. You guys could change your life tonight. But I'm so grateful. And now I got to tell you, based upon those top 5, in that order, do not compromise it, because like I said, I was compromising it when I would have to go into work and leave my family on Easter. Do not let this be compromised. That's why I quit my job, because I refuse to let that happen again. And I'm clear on that. So this is my success statement. I haven't quite memorized it yet. I told you it's fresh, but feel the power in this. Do this worksheet, and then you're going to have this same power in your life. So success is a God-given gift, and I honor that by taking good care of myself so I can be the best for my daughter and family, give back to the world, and make an abundant living. Wow! Imagine putting that on your steering wheel. Imagine putting that on the mirror in your bathroom and reading it to yourself every morning and be like, all right, yeah, listen, for real, picture me getting fresh out of the shower, and I'm about to brush my teeth, and I'm like, oh, what does that say? Oh, success is a God-given gift, and I honor that by taking good care of myself so I could be the best person for my daughter and family, give back to the world, and make an abundant living. Yeah, boy, you start your day with that, right? But it's your own personal definition of success. You get to put the top 5. You get to write that statement for yourself, and you get to not compromise the 1 through 5. It has to be in order. It is critical because, like I said, money's still on the list. Money is important. It's just not number 1 anymore. I refuse to compromise my time with my daughter or family or anything else for money. So, what is your definition of success? What is your definition of success? I'm going to give this paper to you. I'm so excited to provide it with you guys. I can't wait to see what your guys' definitions of success are. So when you get the opportunity to fill this out, a lot of you have my personal contact information, or you could find me on Facebook or whatever. Take a picture of it, post it, tag me in it, or if you don't want to do that, send it to me in a message. Send it to me in an email, but I would be thrilled to see what you guys put down. It would warm my heart and inspire me, and I would be so grateful if you guys took the time to do that. It'd be huge. So I'm going to touch back base to the, one person. Earlier in the intro, I said, even if one person got something out of tonight, even if just one person showed up, even if it's just me, I'm getting something out of this, man. I know this is my calling, okay? But if just one person takes something home with them, then I was successful tonight. And I'm so grateful for that. And, what's crazy is we all possess inside what we already possess inside what we need in order to be successful, right? But the thing is it's so jumbled up in our head. We're oh yeah, we do have what it takes, but it's so jumbled up in our head. And it isn't until we get clarity, we put it on paper, realize visually what are true things that are truly important to us. We see it on paper, that we know that we can make those decisions. I can't compromise that. I cannot do that. No, I'm sorry. I can't go to that event because I'm supposed to eat dinner with my family. You'll know when to say yes. You'll know when to say no. So, anyways, I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful, and it's incredible. And how are you going to get more clarity? How are you going to make this success thing happen? Well, with this sheet, with accountability buddies, with a coach. And that's right. Y'all hearing a pitch tonight. A pitch is coming out. You guys can get a coach. You can get somebody who could take you to the next level of your health. You can get somebody who could take you to the next level of your happiness, in your relationships, in your life. And you see me in the intro, when I came up here, and I'm woo, let's bring it up, guys. You want this kind of energy? You want to feel this way? You want to be in the darks and depths in darkness and be able to come out to the other side and just shine? Well, I got you, I got you. And anybody who is here tonight, I got you on that sign-in sheet. 33% off my services, y'all. That's what I'm talking about, 33. So, and I'm not ashamed, to give this pitch to you guys, because if I didn't tell you that I can help you, I'd be doing you a disservice. If I came up here and just spat about success, but then gave you guys no pathway in order to get there, then I'd be doing you a disservice. So yes, I can help you, and I want you guys to know that. I'm always here. So I'm going to end it with this, and that is, who are you surrounding yourself with? Who are you surrounding yourself with? This was a thing that we spoke about in the coffee shop. And, there's 2 buses, right? And there's 5 people going on this bus to Highlands Ranch, and there's 5 people on this bus going to Arvada. You so desperately want to go to Highlands Ranch, right? But you're hanging out with the Arvada people, so you're going to inevitably be sucked in by them, and you're forced to go to Arvada, but you so desperately want to go to Highlands Ranch. Well, here's what you do. You don't cut these people out of your life. Sometimes that's family. Sometimes that's your dad, right? So you say, I love you from a little bit of a distance because I'm going to Highlands Ranch. I'm going to hang out with these people. If you hang out with these people, you're going to get to where you want to go. Who are you hanging out with? Who are you surrounding yourself with? Because if you want to go to Highlands Ranch, well, I hate to break it to you, you got to hang out with the Highlands Ranch people. You cannot hang out with the Arvada people. But you can still love them. You can say, oh yeah, just a little bit less time with them. So I'm going to leave you with this. This is the last thing I got. And it's a quote that I read in a book that I actually am going to be giving out in the raffle tonight. And nothing is impossible. The word impossible in itself says, I'm possible. I'm possible. Impossible. The word in itself says, I'm possible. So, woo! Success 2020, baby, that's all I got. That's all I got. If you were sleeping, you're awake now, brother. You are awake now. So thank you guys so much for being here. It isn't over. There is a Q&A. We will move through that quickly because I know y'all want $150. I get it. So we'll just do 2 or 3 questions. Whoever wrote something down and they have something to ask, go ahead, ask it now. Justin, I'm going to call you back up on stage. Let's go ahead and do this Q&A.